Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Hope you're doing well today. It is March the 10th, 2020. Now there's a saying, TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday. Well, I don't work Monday through Friday. I actually have to work on weekends. And Wednesday, Thursdays are typically my days off. So I like to use the phrase SHIT, so happy it's Tuesday. And if you work on weekends and you're off during the week, you know what I'm talking about, right? But, mass respect to those who have to work on weekends because somebody's got to do it, right? But anyway, I hope you're having a good time doing what you're doing where you're doing it. Now, there's, of course, a lot to talk about, with what's been going on over the past few weeks and, in terms of the coronavirus and the stock market and so forth. And I've read tabloid magazines, they talk about the global stock market crash. I've heard people talking about, is this the stock market, the beginning of a stock market crash and so forth. And they haven't asked me what my opinion of it is, but is this the beginning of a stock market crash just because the Dow has gone down 15, 20% over the past, few weeks? No. It's the continuation of a stock market crash. It's the continuation of a stock market crash that's been going on for the last 30 years. And when Maitreya made that prediction in 1988 that there would be a global stock market crash and it would start in Japan and work its way around the world, right? The Japanese stock market, the Nikkei, did go down and it actually lost about 80% of its value. So by all economic measurements, that did collapse. And it did cause the United States market to go way down. Remember Black Monday, But it also, there was an opportunity for the forces of darkness to start to manipulate it and to prop it back up. And they had enough money to be able to do that because they can, governments can print up money as much as they want, right? And so they print up funny money and put it into the stock market and so forth, and it causes it to go up. And now, during the 1990 to 2000, the stock market was up and it kind of stayed up. And then if you remember historically, it was right around the time of 2000, 2001, there would be these huge point losses and then these huge point gains and huge point losses and huge point gains, and it would just kept doing it over and over again. And it would drop 5-10% in a week and it go up 5 or 10% or more, and then it would go down 15% and it would go up, and it was crazy, the roller coaster ride that happened. And then in 2008 it just started to go down and it didn't go back up, and it went down and it didn't go back up, and it went down and down and down and down and down. And it caused a lot of economic damage, especially in this country. The housing market took a huge hit, people were out of work and so forth. And it also allowed, people to wake up enough to the fact that Maitreya saw as an opportunity to actually come out on TV. And Benjamin Kremsmaster did make a prediction in 2009 that if the stock market did not go all the way down and just totally go kaput, right, that it would start to go back up and then go back up and go back up and go to even higher highs. And this was in 2009. Okay, so I know people would prefer it that I do not bash on Trump, but I have to at this point, because if you listen to him talk, he makes it sound like it's because of him and only him that the stock market went up as high as it did. But to me, he's like a rooster trying to take credit for the dawn. It was already going up before he took office. Now, did it go down after he took office? No, it went up even higher, right? I'll give him that much, right? But, is it only because of him? Nah, I think he had about as much to do with it as anybody else. It was the direct result of the forces of darkness keeping the stock market from totally going defunct. And so they can't keep doing it forever. It's going to go down and it's going to go back up and then down and go back up and then down, and eventually it's just going to go whew, bam. And Benjamin Kremsmaster did, when he made that prediction, 11 years ago or so, that he said if it does go up even higher, it's going to be twice as bad for those of us because of the fact that it's going from a higher point down to a lower point than it would have been if it just had collapsed in 2008, as bad as it was for people back in 2008. And had we changed our ways in 2008, we would not be facing another economic crash. We would have been done with it forever. So Maitreya knows the evils of commercialization and has spoken out against the stock market and commercialization for decades, and will continue to speak out against it, now that he's on TV, and I'm sure he's already doing that, speaking out against it. Because the masters know the truth. They know that we are one family. They know that our structures have to meet the needs of everyone, or they must go, or change radically. So looking at the economic structures of the world today, do they meet the needs of everybody? No, of course not, right? And structures that were put in place with the intention of helping people, that because of the economic situation and commercialization the way that it is today, those structures that were put in place to help the needs of the people ended up becoming more about making money than helping the people. And that's religious structures, that's healthcare structures, educational structures. I mean, look at the cost of higher education just in the United States, for instance. It's a lot more expensive than it was 20 or 30 years ago. Now, are we educating people better, that much better, or is it because they're price gouging? Because they know that, and they propagate, the propaganda that in order to have a decent life, you have to have a higher education, which means you have to go through them, to get it, right? So therefore, they can charge more money. And, looking at healthcare, are we that much healthier as a people now than we were 30 years ago when it was a lot cheaper to go to the doctor or go to the hospital than it is today? Or are they just price gouging? So, I mean, think about it, really. And that's the problem with commercialization. How long is this going to go on? The world's a lot smaller today than it was 30 years ago. There are more people living on this planet today than there were 30 years ago even. But even just the way that we see the world, it is small. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and, China's just right over there. It's not even that far away. 100 or so years ago, it'd take you weeks to get to China. Now you can do it in, 14 hours, right? I mean, it doesn't take that long to get over there. And so with global communications, we can talk to each other in an instant. We can see what's going on in other parts of the world better than we could, 25, 30, 40 years ago and so forth. I mean, it's a lot tinier of a world. But because of the injustice in the world and the way that our structures are set up, it's causing greater and greater tension in the world and more stress in our lives than it was 40 or 50 years ago. And so Maitreya and the masters know that the truth of the matter is we have to live as one family. And so it goes, it's not funny, but it is funny that people will throw out this comment in opposition to what I think Maitreya is and who I think Maitreya is as the Christ, right? They'll say, they'll quote Isaiah, in the end times, which Isaiah doesn't use the word end times, but, evil will be seen as good and good evil. And they're making it seem that, because Maitreya is about peace, he's actually an evil person or something like this, right? Isaiah didn't say the end times. He said, woe are those who see evil as good and good evil. I mean, that's been going on since the dawn of time, and today is no different, right? But people today view capitalism and commercialization and the stock markets as the ultimate good in humanity, that it's the best thing that could possibly be out there. That if only more countries were as capitalistic as the United States, it'd be an even better situation, right? And then when you throw out is it meeting the needs of everybody? They just kind of stare at you like, well, that's just crazy talk. Why would you even, you're talking Gorgonzola when it's clearly brie time, baby. I mean, they have no clue what you're talking about, right? And then they view capitalism, which from the master's point of view is one of the greatest evils in the world, right? as the highest form of good, when people like Bernie Sanders are talking about socialism, which is a more compassionate structure that does meet the needs of either more people or all the people, right? Depending upon how much of a socialist type of economy that the country might have, right? People call that evil, and they cry out against it, and so forth. And so it really does go along the lines of what Isaiah said. People are seeing evil as good and good evil. And I know these people are not bad people that think this. They want peace in the world, but capitalism isn't going to bring peace. If it was going to bring peace into the world, it would have done it 50 years ago. But the more capitalistic our society becomes, the more commercialization runs everything, the tensions in the world are causing the problems that we're seeing today. And so it's, that's the seed is known by its, the tree is known by its fruit. That's the fruit of that tree is terrorism, hunger, stress, so forth. And so we have to look at it like that. But so with the stock market going down the way it is it going to continue to go down eventually? Will it be this week and next week and this year? I don't know. We'll see how that goes on. But I do communicate with a guy who views Maitreya as the Antichrist, and I have spoken to him on the phone, and I do respect Kevin, and I do respect his view, and I do feel like he respects my view. He's never talked down to me. He's never called me names for what I believe, and I certainly don't talk down to him or call him names for what he believes. But we do see the world quite differently. Now he texted me the other day. He said, and this was in response to what he was seeing on the news in terms of the stock market going down and so forth. But he said there will be a global economic collapse before Maitreya's appearance. Now, that's true, because it actually, but that was in 2008. Maitreya is already on TV right now. But so the world will be in chaos, and he'll appear as the answer to the world's problems. And this is, of course, a very cynical view of Maitreya and Maitreya's position and what he's doing on TV today. But these masters, Maitreya said it the best in Hyde Park. He quote Bertrand Russell. He said, "Keep your eyes on the prize, and the prize is humanity." It's about us living together in peace. It's about us living together as one family. And we can't do that when we have structures that are not just, and the tensions that causes because of that. We can't go on much longer like that. So is this stock market quote unquote crash is this going to be the start of it, so Maitreya can come out and be the answer to all our problems? No, of course not. But Maitreya will start to address the problems economically, that's causing the problems in the world. He'll address those problems, right? He'll say that we need to change our structures, change our ways to meet the needs of everybody. The only way to go into the future, the only way to have a peaceful future is together. Every single man, woman, and child on this planet have to feel like they're fulfilled, have to feel like their needs are met. And the only way to do that, it's very simple, but the only way to do that is for everybody to have food, clothing, shelter, and health care. That is the only way to do it. And if you think it's unrealistic, you're going to really think this is unrealistic, but we do have civilizations to model our civilization after. So the space brothers coming from other planets like Venus and Mars and so forth that we see in the skies all the time, the civilization, the planets that they have left to come here to help us, right? If we could go there, we would see societies and a civilization that meets the needs of all its people. And that allows them to be able to travel to the distant parts of our solar system and even to other stars and so forth. It allows them to know more about the universe and themselves within that universe than we could possibly even imagine at this point. But they're doing it together. It's not just a select few of people, on their planets that get to experience it. It's everyone on their planet. We're all divine. without exception. Every person on this planet is divine. And the masters in Maitreya are going to teach us that truth, that is true. It'll be proven scientifically that we are divine, that we are souls in incarnation, scientifically, in the not so distant future. But the future in which we're headed, we must get there together. And these structures must fulfill the needs of all the people in order for that to happen. I hope this helps. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.